to be the final one. I have updated this tier list a few times. Feel free to go check it out and see what has been or will be different from those compared to this one. But please don't forget to like and subscribe. We are getting ready for Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, so these are going to be all of my final tier lists for Heroes of Might and Magic 5. So be sure to check out all my other ones and my dual mode series for sure for Heroes 5. And let us get started here. Oh, do we want to go in order or not? Let's mix it up a little bit. So I think Imps as a tier 1. So we're only doing tier 1s. I'm going to go Imp as a B, but I'm going to put both of these other ones. You know, I'll mix and match. I'll go 1 and 1 and 1. I think Imps are fantastic tier 1s early to mid game. I think the mana stealing absolutely, I mean, it literally takes out your hero, basically. So early and mid game, that is pretty fucking huge. Especially if you're facing somebody like Dungeon that, you know, does the stupid little invisible assassin here and just bases it off their hero, you're pretty much fucked. But yeah, I think early game and mid game Imps stealing the mana is absolutely an S tier worthy utility tier 1 unit for sure. Aside from the utility, they're not very good, you know, not much damage or defense at all for sure, but that utility definitely carries them into some higher tier ranks for sure. Let's see. I think we're gonna give the Pixies and Sprites an A and then put Dryads an S. And these are not in any order as far as like who is better or worse. I'm just throwing them up here. That's just what tier they're in. But yeah, I think as a tier 1, having so much movement, having no retaliation, having a spread shot, all all of that as just the base Pixie. Then you go Sprite, so you have all of that, and then you add a Wasp Swarm, which admittedly, unless you're using the Wasp Swarm hero, I forget her name, I used to use it because I used to like just being able to do that as a tier 1, especially earlier in the game. But still very good, still very worth it. And then I think having the dryads just add to that. So you have all of those things. You take off the wasp swarm and you go for healing themselves and Trents. So while usually you're more than likely just going to be healing more dryads, it's still an insane thing to be able to heal that many of yourself as a tier 1 that can get in your face, hit multiple targets with no retaliation. Now, as far as like the actual attacks, they're pretty good, especially as a tier 1. Defensively, not so much, but then being able to revive yourself, and if your Trents have gone or taken any damage, you know, giving them a little extra, you know, lives or even just hit points if they didn't lose any is pretty fucking great. Especially if you're going uncontested as a Dryad. They're disgusting. Um, let's see. I think the Goblins are probably the worst, some of the worst units in the entire game. Um, yeah, in a way, I like and dislike the fact that when they get hit, they run away. It can be kind of useful and nice. But aside from that, they have very little defense. They have not so great attack, and as far as like these two utility, the bear trap is nice, it can be, but certain creatures don't even get hit by it. And even so, like it's not always the biggest help. And then the defile magic is just not really that useful and great either, nor does it happen often. So yeah, overall just pretty pretty bad units. And then, you know, if they lose too many of themselves, they'll even flee and switch sides or whatever. Um, and yeah, the Blood Rage isn't gonna mess with them either, just because they're obviously not going to be able to get it. Let's see. I think Guardians. I'll give Guardians B and A's. I think they're pretty solid tier ones. They're the only tier ones that are actually pretty good and have a pretty nice health pool and pretty defensive. Obviously, they're still tier ones, so they're still relatively easy to kill, but they are definitely the hardest to kill with their health pool and defense. Pretty solid. I don't think there's anything too amazing about them, but they're a solid tier one for sure. No complaints, but they're not like, oh my god, you know, I love having them on my team because they're so useful. Um, I'm honestly going to do the same with the peasants. Now, the biggest reason why these guys are here and not lower. So I was going to put this peasant in C and then these ones in B. The biggest reason why I stepped them all up solely because of the taxpayer. Given extra gold is awesome at any point in the game. It definitely helps Haven's gold economy for sure because of these guys. Super weak defensively. They have some utility abilities here with the upgraded ones, but nothing crazy. Their attack is okay when you upgrade them. Again, it's nothing crazy from a tier 1, but still decent. But the biggest thing again is just because they give the taxpayer. Other than that, they're pretty shit tier 1 units, which overall again most tier 1 units are not amazing, but again, like, are you taking a dryad or are you taking a peasant? Okay, like, and if it's peasant, then you're playing the wrong game. Okay, um, so yeah, peasants are okay, definitely good from the taxpayer's perspective. Um, Gremlins. I think Gremlins are alright. Um, I'll give the Saboteur an A, because I do think it can be useful sometimes. I don't think it's great. But obviously I'm trying to stay consistent here and have the upgrades be better than the normal version, but they're like this one is like A minus and this one is like B plus, you know, like they're very close. Um, Now this one is a little more difficult. I think I'm going to put them in S. Biggest reason why is because of the repair mechanic that they can do for the golems. I think that utility is so nice because Academy is so inconsistent, and all of their frontline units are pretty much all of their early game units. You know, you have the tier 1 Gremlins, then the tier 7 Titans as the backline, and then Mage in between. So everybody else is frontline, and having some um, repair mechanic to keep those golems up was just honestly one of their best creatures in the game. I think is super nice. I think it's also super nice because of, you know, if there is a creature up to the gremlins to where they cannot shoot and they have to either melee them, that is a nice turn to take to then heal golems instead of, you know, trying to melee a unit that's in front of them. So I think that deserves an S because of all that. You could put them in A, I wouldn't really argue with you, but they're definitely better than the Saboteur for sure. The Saboteur is just like, if you're playing against like a Vittorio or a Deleb or somebody that has like a crazy ballista, or even Casper that has the plague tent or something like that, okay, then sabotage. But you know, other than that, not so much. Or some other units, you know, you're facing some certain specific units, you know, that you can do that too. But overall, not better than the repair one. Let's see. See, I think I'm going to do the same with the skeletons that I did with the peasants. So I was thinking, I gotta put this one in S. So biggest reason why they are higher each one, is because they're undead. I think Necropolis creatures automatically having the undead, and it's just a natural defense that they have, is great for them. It's amazing. Um, so that's why he's not in C. You could put him in C, and I wouldn't really argue with you. But I think being undead just kind of further helps that along. Um, so on top of that, the skeleton archers are all right. They're not amazing. They're not very devastating. They definitely don't have a lot of defense. But being undead is nice. I think it's worth having them in A. Like they're a solid unit for sure. Um, but truthfully, I think this skeleton warrior deserves an S. I think this dude, if you know that he's great, then he's great. If you don't, and you're choosing the skeleton archer, which I used to always go for the skeleton archer because Necropolis has like no backline units aside from if you choose them or the leeches, and that's it. Um, and I'm a very like backline person. Like I love Sylvan because they have so many backline units or options for it. Um, but this dude is insane as a tier 1. Now his damage is super inconsistent. You're either going to do like 8 or 22, like the range varies. Um, but pretty devastating, honestly, especially if they go unchecked. Decent defense for tier 1, nothing amazing, but it's all right. But I think not only the utility of obviously again being undead is just nice natural defense to have. Um, but also being able to have the large shield of blocking somebody else, which is super nice. At the same time, having the stun ability too, like this dude can do everything as a tier 1. Like you really can't complain about him aside from the inconsistent range of damage that he might do. But other than that, I think he is a great tier 1. I don't know if it was just me that took forever to figure that out, and I've just been underrating him, or maybe a bunch of other people are too. Because maybe there's a bunch of people like me that like the backline archer because Necropolis doesn't really have that. But it's knowing what I know now, after, it took me some time, but, yeah, criminally underrated to me. And then the scouts and assassins. I kind of got to give the nod to B just because they're a backline shooter. That's kind of always been my preference. If you're fighting early game, having archers in the back is just a nice way to kind of get you wins. So that's the biggest reason why he's in B. Honestly, both of these guys are an A. Now everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, like use this dude for, free easy wins. Okay, so he's good early game. Okay, and then what? The dude is not good. Like some of these other guys, like if I'm, like hours into a game, okay, and you get into a big fight. Everybody's got like stacks on stacks of tier 7s. What is this guy gonna do? How much utility is this guy actually worth at that point? Fucking little to none, okay? This guy honestly continuously poison him from the back instead of getting up close as a tier 1 and getting shredded after. Um, Much more worth it to me at any point than this guy. Okay, but then I look at any other of these tier 1s if I'm facing late game. Okay, take away some mana. Is it that late in the game, is it going to make a huge difference? Maybe, maybe not, but if the fight goes on, your hero's going to run out of mana before mine. Okay, you know? Dryad's going to do a fuck ton of damage. Probably the most damage out of any of these people, at least the possibility of it, for sure, and can heal themselves to keep them doing said damage or keep their trends up or whatever. Gremlins can at least have a utility to help somebody. These skeletons are just nice and useful and gonna, like, so many of these people are going to do way more damage than them and has the option to stay alive longer than them. One or the other. Um, again, the biggest reason why they're even an A is because they do have utility. But I think they're insanely overrated for me. I don't think they're as good as everybody makes these assassin or these stalkers out to be, for sure. Um, but they're still good. Like, they're useful early game, like everybody says. They're nice with the poison and being able to go invisible. It's nice, okay? But S tier worthy, no. No, not compared. You're gonna tell me that you're gonna take them over some sprites? Like, early game, if it's a 1v1, okay, they're probably gonna win because they're gonna go invisible. But aside from that, which doesn't happen, not really, not as good, okay? So please let me know down in the comments where you guys would place your favorite and least favorite Heroes of Might and Magic Tier 1 creatures. We're going to be doing all of the other tiers in their own individual videos as their last. This is the final Tier 1 Heroes of Might and Magic 5 tier list that I'm doing, getting ready for Olden Era and excited for it. So don't forget, like, subscribe, check out all of my other previous tiers to see what may be different, and then be sure to check out the rest that are coming. We'll see you guys in the next one.